like, nope, I take my boat out on the water and I eat bagels for breakfast.
Yeah, not bad. Thank God.
Sean, you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. Chris, are you recording already?
Yeah, we're going.
Uh, oh, oh. Let's get started then. Yeah.
I'm being recorded.
Yes.
That's
Oh,
our
wait,
intro.
I messed up.
That's our intro.
You messed up on recording.
No, that's okay. All right, now we're here. All right.
Oh God, that's our intro. That's it. That's all you need to know. Jeff's here. Hi, Jeff.
What's up?
Crazy. And like something else I think is going to be really important for you during Hooked is like I don't think that you really have your style like locked down yet. I think that like Levi and Andrew and Ethan, those people that are that like one step ahead of you, the only reason is because they have a style. And you could literally, if you pulled any one of their samplers, you could probably make an extremely close sampler to all of them. Be like, if you copied like every single one of their combos, you could probably get pretty darn close to doing that. Or like you maybe tweak it just a tiny bit, like to fit you, but then it would be so similar if you wanted it to be. And that's just because you're so versatile and you can be at that level. But like when it comes to a battle or it comes to like doing passes or like creating a sampler, you're mostly playing. You're mostly like you're like, what do I want to do? Instead of like this is what I do, which is what they're all doing. Like they're very just in their element, and you're just like, I can do anything, so I'm just trying to figure it out.
Right. Yeah, that's a cookie cutter combo is kind of like my basic like. Yeah, exactly what you said. I have so many options floating up, and I'm not really particularly good at any of them, so they all sound dangerous. So I'm like, all right, well, don't do sideswipe.
That's awesome. Yeah, I feel like mine is finally gaining ground. Like I'm finally developing a style because I got injured, because I like took a break from tricking and now I'm coming back into it. And like now I know what tricks like you were talking about, like I definitely love the megas. My new favorite thing is to do scoot, gainer mega, aerial, GMS, TDR zero into whatever.
God. That's awesome. Yeah, I'm definitely focusing on front swings and megas right now. Megas are like my favorite thing to do right now. So I'm definitely diving into that more. I actually posted on my Instagram story about that, like how people really develop styles, because I didn't know where to start, and it just seemed so like weird that people had these such set in stone tricks that they do. Like, Taka does like double backs and weird ass transitions that no one can really do, and like Levi has these amazing front swings and like just these giant triple corks, and like Jacoby with his like full ins and his double backs, and he's got really clean kicks, and like they all have things that define themselves, but I don't really have something that people really know me for. Right. And people have a lot of trickers that they look up to, and I kind of looked into that. I'm like, okay, well, who do I really base my inspiration off and like my tricking? I'm like, okay, so I wrote them down, but what I don't like about that is that it still makes you so like you just like put yourself in a box. It's like you can only do these tricks now, and like there's no room for like a whole ton of creativity. And so now I'm just like kind of like what I've always done, but I'm focusing in on it more, where I'm just like, all right, I'm going to do these tricks because I like them so much. And then now I'm slowly starting to see a style develop, and I think it'll take a while, but I think that's more effective for me anyway than it would be to like lock in on a handful of tricks and only train those, because your body's not always feeling those tricks anyway.
That's very true. Yeah, that's a good point. That's probably a big reason why you can trick so often too. And the other thing, like for me, my style developed as I started getting injuries. So like I got good at swings because I broke my right ankle. Now I'm getting good at like megas and front swings and that type of stuff because I really wanted to. But then I tore my hip abductor and I was like, oh, well, that's my left leg. So now I need to actually lean into those things. Like, so it actually worked out. Like if I hadn't done them, I would have started doing them anyway. And then, so like it just, all my injuries kind of guided me into like what I am and am not allowed to do. And then on top of that, I think the more I battled, the more I developed a style too. Cause I was like, okay, what am I good at? What am I going to one shot? And it's like, I started to do that. And as I started, and also I wanted my style to like be able to stand out in a battle. And so as I started battling more, I was like building battle combos and I would drill battle combos. And then it made me actually forced to use things like coin drops and spiders and be a little like add like crash moon or like why would I ever do a gainer hook? Oh, because it looks cool. Like it's like things you just don't normally use. Now I wanted to use them because it looks aesthetic instead of feeling a certain way. Because most of my tricks were based on a feeling. I was like, I really like feeling a Master Scoot 03. That shit feels nice. But when you're battling like the aesthetic of like a really well built balanced combo, like the one I always like to talk about, I did like cheat 9 and then you do a J step from the cheat 9 into an actual gainer into a back sweep scoot 0-2 to split. That's a combo that I did and it's just like so balanced because you're going like vertical kick into a J step true gainer that's tucked into a back sweep. So like you're just changing levels back and forth. You're changing from a vertical to a flip over to like another like a swing chain, but down into the splits, which is another level change. So like all of that, I just like the aesthetic of that to me is perfection. Like so that's what I started to become my style is like I want the ups and downs of the tricks to actually be shown through and like that to me is artistic. But like everyone's gonna find their own, you know, thing that they think is beautiful in tricking. So I think if you just found that and then also like leaned into what you're good at and what you wanted to use for battles, that would develop your style. Because I think no matter what, when you're tricking for a sampler or when you're tricking for yourself, you're not going to develop a style because your style is learning and like figuring things out. And that was the same as it was for me. It's just like I want to learn it all. Like I enjoy tricking and that's it. So like how can I have style?
Yeah, I think you really said it. One thing I mean, I can't really talk on, as an expert on battling or anything, but when I was at Vertigo, when we were prepping for the top 16 battles, I was like, they're like, are you nervous? I'm like, yeah, I'm sweating over here. And Ethan's like, the one thing that Ethan said, he's like, we're just going out and having a big session. That's all we're doing. I'm like, oh, okay. And then I just went out and had a big session. And it's like, that really takes the stress off of it.
Oh, yeah.
There's still stuff on the line, and like you definitely don't want to go out there and be like, I'm gonna train dub, and like, that's not the mentality. You want to go there and just be like, I'm gonna trick, and that's really all you have to focus on.
Hey, if you enjoy our content and you want to show some support, make sure you follow us on Spotify and Instagram. Our Instagram tag is the_flip_side_podcast. Just make sure to go on there. Just shout out like old episodes that you liked, anything about the new episodes. You can comment on any of them. We would really appreciate it. And if you do end up wanting to go a step further, just become a supporter. All you have to do is follow the link in the description in any of our episodes that we've published. And you can also go under the About section in our Spotify homepage.
You can do as little as 99 cents a month. Any amount that you guys support us is going to help us build a better podcast and help build better trickers around the world. Right. That's so true. And I think that that's actually what ends up happening at a lot of gatherings is that people are just there to trick. And so you get a lot of cookie cutter combos or you get a lot of combos that people like naturally fall into. And that's just because they're there to trick. They're not there to train and drill shit. And that stuff's for the grass. That stuff's for like, your solo sessions and, group sessions where you're trying to break tricks down with people and maybe you'll develop that style. And there's those few people who like have some crazy movements and people will pick up as the gathering goes on. And that's super fun. But yeah, I mean, it's just, you're there to move and trick and that's what it is. That's what you're doing. And battles, I think, are that same thing. And you just got to find that niche that you fall into naturally, but you'll figure it out. I mean, you have the whole fucking arsenal. You're like, if I get every trick, honestly, I can build my style.
Pretty much. Like, all right, well, got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
What has been, with some simpler questions, I guess, what has been your favorite actual trick to get so far?
Ooh. I don't know. Like, I don't even know. Just
it could literally be the simplest thing on earth. Like, it could be a gainer. Like, who cares? Like, it could be anything.
Like, the best feeling when I land, or like my favorite trick?
Your favorite one to chase, or your favorite
Yeah,
feeling of one, or your
what
favorite
was your
look of
favorite
one?
to chase?
I don't even know. None of them are fun to chase.
Facts. That's so true. Fuck all. You're like, fuck tricking. I hate it.
If I I quit. You made me realize how dumb this sport is.
I'm out.
It's like if I don't land it first try, it's literally just suffering from then on. And then I land it, I'm like, finally, I like had my gun loaded. Like
you're like, I am immediately changing my sampler name to Goodbye. Like that.
Literally. I'd say, damn, I don't even know. Like, I think G-Switch Trip, that's like the only one that keeps coming to my head right now for some reason. But yeah, I don't know. That one's pretty fun.
That's my favorite too, dude. That's my favorite too. Because the G switch, you're like, am I gonna do it? And it just like is in slow motion. You're like, I don't know. And then your ankle lands the correct way, and you're like, motherfucker, I'm going for a ride.
Yeah.
Then you take off.
That's true. I think now that I think about it, I think my favorite was actually probably Trip Swing Dub. I think that was my favorite. Just because, like, I don't know, it was just so high level at that point, and like it almost felt out of my league. Like it didn't really feel like I could do it, but I did anyway. And it was just like, it was so out of nowhere. Like I just went to the session and I was like, I'm gonna do this, and then I did like second try, and I was like, all right, sick. And then I did another one. I was like, this is too easy. Like
you're like, what's going on?
Yeah. So in that, I think triple swing is just like a really fun trick for me to do, and it's kind of just like something that I can warm up pretty fast and do consistently. So it just kind of hits all the spots for me anyway.
That's awesome. Yeah, like you get the power from the cartwheel, you get the swing action because it's post triple, and then it's post triple. So what the fuck?
Like, whatever
Yeah.
happens after that is all right with me.
Right. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I have one more question.
Yeah, what you got?
Always going to be controversial. Well, actually, I guess I could break it down into two. Why are all Trickers carts just so awful? Why are their full ins not full ins?
I actually got asked that when I was at the River Falls Gymnastics. I did like a full in, and they're like, "What the fuck was that?" I was like, "That was a full in." That was a full in back out. They're like, with that janky ass round off. I was like, "That was a cartwheel."
You hit both of them right in the same. It is one question.
Yeah,
it's so great.
Yeah.
They're like, well, yeah, dude, your fucking cart off deal is like you like you're like a Twizzler. You're just bent all.
I know, it's literally,
and then you're like,
and I'm like, how does this work?
You're basically doing a handstand snap down and then somehow launching into the sky.
Yeah, that's how you do it.
He's like, yeah, my lower lumbar does not matter.
Like, fuck, why does my back always hurt?
Yeah.
Like,
your long-term lower lumbar health is non-existent.
so bad. Cart off is really good, but I only do it in small increments. It's dangerous.
Yeah.
So far, nothing bad has happened yet, but like, I'm gonna slip a disc one of these times, and I'll be like, why did that happen?
So basically, your answer is because.
Yeah.
Reasons.
It's because.
How scary was it to do full in on floor the first time? Because for me, it was also like terrifying.
I think Chris remembers this, but we were actually grass tricking at our house, and we went to the session, and I'm like, I'm gonna full in, and no one was ready, and like everyone just like, I just like ran across the floor and sent it, and everyone was like, what the fuck? And I bruised both of my shins when I did it, and I was like, yeah, that was kind of cool.
Oh, I do remember that. I was thinking of a different time, but now when you said you bruised both your shins, yes.
Jesus.
It was bad. It was really bad.
You were like plenty high in the air, but you just, it was like, I did not think you were going to send that. We were at Midwest, right? This is
Yeah,
so funny. You just
I don't know
completely
why.
landed on your knees, dude. I was like, what did you just do? You gave up so much. It was the equivalent of you like opening up and pancaking on your back, but like with your knees.
Yeah,
It was so bad. It's like you could
was
not have done it.
probably-
How are your patellar tendons intact? I don't know.
Yeah, like
It
honestly.
was so bad.
I mean, after that, I know I didn't send it for a while, but actually, ever since the adrenaline event that I went to, their full ends aren't really scary. Like I just rep them a lot, and like you honestly just have to send it. Like you know that you're gonna land most of the time, so you just gotta like do it, I guess.
Yeah, my biggest thing with double back is that when I do punch skills, my low back like gives out sometimes. So if I was gonna do full in, I would like punch and then my low back would just not engage and I'd be like, ah, and then I would just only do a full. But it's the worst feeling ever because you're mid full and you're like, am I high or not? And then you just decide not to do it. Or like your body keeps going and you're like, no, I should stop. And you're like, I'm already here.
Yeah, got him upside down. I'll
So
die.
yeah, that's why I do swing tricks.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing though, is like with double flips, it's like it's kind of reassuring when you go for it because it's like, well, I know that I shouldn't open, so I have to hold on anyway. Like,
Yeah, that's true. Well, also I remember though, like right after you smash your shins like that, like we were on the car ride home, and then you were like, I know I can land it. I know exactly what I did wrong. And you were like, I was this and this, and like you were just started like analyzing it, like you were replaying it in your head like a million times over and over. And I was like, yeah, you definitely have it. And we like watched the video. I was like, yeah, this is the only thing. And we were just like the whole time. And then I feel like the next time you did it, you just landed first try, didn't you? Or like you
I don't-
over rotated or something. Yeah, it was like so easy after we broke it down. You're like, oh yeah, I'm confident now. After you said
Yeah.
that first one.
still
Wow.
terrifying, but like you just got to do it, man. That's all there is to it.
You hear that, Sean? Just do it.
Yeah, right. Just do it. I mean, you know what? I just want to see more triggers do double front. Like, why not? I'm just gonna say it. Do double front. It's terrifying at first because it's completely blind landing, but hey, it's fun. I'll tell you.
That's a little different.
Oh, I thought double front was a lot easier to throw than double back.
See,
Even though double back is
we're
insanely-
only willing to sacrifice our bodies for cool tricks. Like
Double
nobody.
front is a cool trick. You can't do anything out of it, but it's really cool.
No, because
I
then we're gonna
value my
like,
knees too much.
yeah, knees, heels, your tailbone, your neck. There's a lot of things for like a single
Actually-
trick.
As bad as it is, when at Midwest, like I don't remember. Oh yeah, they were like you can only play clean music at Midwest. So I made a playlist, and I hate that gym so much. I'm sorry, but like, so I made this Midwest playlist with like all clean music, and then the profile picture of it was the girl who did double front and broke both her knees. It was
Oh,
like,
that it was crack. Oh my god, I remember seeing that on TV when it was happening, and I was just like,
Dude, Jeff, do you remember when I showed you the video? We were literally sitting at the table. It was you, me, and some other people that were over for tricking. And we just had Instagram open because we had come in from tricking, and we were just grabbing water and some snacks before we went out to the trampoline. I'm just sitting there on Instagram and I'm like scrolling through, and then I just go and throw it across the room, and everyone's like, "What?" I was like, "That was so bad. Like it was just instinct. I just threw it." And I showed you guys. I was like, "Do not let me see that again."
I remember that. That was bad. It was
dude,
bad.
it made me freak out so bad. I was like, oh, I couldn't imagine just feeling your heels hit, and it didn't happen like at the same time. It was heel, boom, boom, and I was just like, oh my god, why?
I would have
was
felt
so-
zero pain. I would just have been like, my life. like you've been like, what about everything? I can't
That's
even
so-
walk, bro. Like it's just so bad. It's so bad for so many reasons. Was there more to your story, by the way? Or was that the end of it?
I mean, yeah, it was just like a screenshot of both of her knees backwards, and then I was like, yeah, this is how much I hate this gym. And then someone ended up liking the playlist, and I still don't know who it was. I was like, sick, I got a like.
That's awesome.
Yes, one win.
Yeah, something came out of it.
That's great. Well, was there anything else that you wanted to add, Jeff? Sample related, tricking related, anything like that you wanted to add on as well? Or things you're looking forward to? Any shout outs?
I would just say that like the best thing a tricker can do is trick every day. Like there was like some gray area for me anyway of like, should I trick every day or should I trick, 3 or 4 times a week and make sure those are always strong sessions? And like, but the truth is you can't really like, you're always gonna have one of those sessions where you're like just too dead beat and like, it's not gonna go the way you want. But like, just tricking every day, for me anyway, will get you way more warmed up for the session later, and like you progress way faster, your body gets way more used to it, and like you don't, for some reason I feel like the amount of rehab that I've had to do outside of tricking has gone down significantly ever since I started tricking every day, just because your body adapts to it instead of being so like put under stress. Like the way I thought about it is that by tricking every day, your body adapts to it instead of deals with it. So like you lift at the gym and get your body prepared, but when you go to trick, it just gets destroyed. Like you're strong, but like your body's not used to those movements. Instead of rebuilding yourself back up in between sessions by constantly, it sounds bad, but like instead like just like making sure your body's constantly under that tricking stress, it actually makes your body way stronger. At least for
I
me
think it's
anyway.
also like you learn a lot better about like finding that point where you're not pushing yourself too hard because you know you have to trick again. So you find a balanced area where you're like, this movement is good for me. And also like that mental thing too. You're like, you show up over and over no matter what. You're like, I don't know how the session's gonna go, but I'm showing up right now. And like it puts your brain in that state. Plus you're constantly like you get better at what you constantly think about. And like if you're doing it every single day, then you're gonna be basically you're telling yourself on like this deep biological level, like this is important. We need to do this, and your body will learn and adjust accordingly, as like you said. And I think that it's a very much mental just as it is physical.
Right.
yeah.
And I think the sessions that I'm having, like I'll trick every morning for like, but it's only for like 20 to 30 minutes and it's nothing difficult. Usually like the first 10 minutes I'm just doing basic like kicks, like nothing higher level than like a cheat 10. Like I'm just working up the kick ladder, and then I'll do some cork variations, and then like maybe at the end I'll throw a dub. But like that's it. Like all you're
Yeah.
doing is just moving your body, and then if you have a session later, like you're already warmed up and then you can just jump right into it. But you're not really like going in. You're just kind of training and moving. And that's what I like about it though. It's so there's nothing at stake. You can just kind of go and
Right.
move as you want, and like that makes me appreciate it way more. Just knowing that I get to trick every day is just important to me anyway.
Definitely. That makes a lot of sense. And that's actually something that I'm struggling with right now is I'm training so often, like with MMA and tricking and trying to weight lift. And I just haven't had time to like stretch and like relieve my body. Like I'm so like tight. I can feel it so much. And like the most that I can do is like sit in the hot tub because stretching is like just too much work. Like I'm just too mentally drained to stretch at the end of the day. So I just sit in the hot tub and like punch myself in the thigh. Like that's like the extent of my rehab right now. I'm like, chill the fuck out. So that's like the extent of my rehab. And like, but what you're saying is if you do it, it's like, oh, so most people would be like, okay, well, you need to take a break from training then. And like,
Mm-hmm.
I think you're right. I think it would be very cool to counter that with saying like, no, I should train more. And people would be like, that doesn't make sense. You'd be like, no, because what's going to happen is I'm going to put myself in a situation where I could train every day. And I'm going to show up and like maybe for a half hour, I'm actually going to do the fucking rehab. Like maybe I would actually do the rehab at the session if I don't end up tricking, or maybe I would use that time to like slow down and not just go 100%. Because like the worst training times for me is when I go against the heavy bag. Like when I'm going against people, I'm never sore. But when I go against the heavy bag, I'm hitting it harder. It's being stationary, so I'm not moving naturally. And I'm trying to push through this 200-pound bag versus, a 140-pound opponent that I'm normally against. So it's like a huge difference for my body. Plus, it's like high interval training. So you just go, go, go. And that's kind of the like, same exact thing. Like if you have a session every day, you pace yourself. And if you don't, you go hard and then you get hurt.
Right. So two things. It's like the first thing for me is this is actually what Jacoby told me is like the session is only takes the place for rehab in a way. Like, no
Right.
matter
That's
how
exactly
fit
what I
your
was thinking.
body,
Yeah.
like no matter how bad your body's feeling, like just being able to push yourself to the next level and just still be able to go and like push your body, like, your body's gonna feel like junk at first, but like at least afterwards, it feels way better. And it's just really there to just loosen yourself up. And then the second thing is that, yeah, like what you said is like, wouldn't you want to take a break instead? But it kind of goes back to what people say is like, when you're sore from squats, you're supposed to go squat again.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
it's the same concept, I think. And I think
Yeah, I think you're right. And like if you're doing it correctly, then you're not putting an immense amount of strain. You're just going through the motions and you're stretching properly, you're moving. Yeah, it makes a ton of sense. I think that's a huge thing that a lot of people can take away from, but it requires a lot of discipline in number one, actually showing up, and number two, pulling yourself back when you need to. So
Right. And I think that's one thing that like that was like a huge gray area for me, and I think that's a huge reason why didn't trick every day for so long. Like it was, I've been tricking for how long, and like I've only just started now doing this. Like, why
yeah.
wasn't I doing that the whole time? And I think that like no one really, I don't think people share important information as much as they should. Like, I don't know if they think that it's common sense or if they just don't have a good way
I
to put it
think
out.
that people do share information. I think everybody's so egotistical and set in their ways that they don't want to adjust their training schedule, or they're just lazy and they don't want to adjust the training schedule, or they're just not motivated. And if someone is generally trying to get good, like the people who take that to heart and actually give things a try are the novices, the people who don't have an ego yet, the people who don't feel like they have something to defend, like those people who are like actually willing to listen, they do apply those things. And those are always the people at the beginning, who are listening.
Right. I mean, not necessarily even for that specific thing, not specifically for training every day, but just like information in general that helps people trick. I think that, like, yes, there are programs like KTL and like Adrenaline have like tutorials and stuff, but it's like that more like specific stuff that you can't really make like a tutorial on. Like, no one is going to make a tutorial on, well, if you trick every day, like your body gets used to it. Like, no one, I'm sure there's a video out there somewhere, but no one really makes
How
like
about this video?
this video.
Yeah, I was about to say.
That's what this podcast is all about, my guy.
Right.
This is what we do. This is what we talk about because it's not talked about anywhere else. So you're exactly
It's
right.
surprising.
And I
Yeah.
think that's like one thing that I'm really, I don't want to say set on, but I'm really motivated to like kind of share with people, because I don't feel like there's enough sharing of that super personal training of why people do certain things. And I'm just like really eager as like I go through the motions and become a better tricker over time, is to just share how I got to that point, because I feel like people are so like, closed with that information. Like, you'll ask someone like, well, how did you get to this point? They're like, it's like,
They're
yeah,
like hard work. You're like hard work. You're like, okay, bro. Like there is words to say that do
Mhm.
convey the message, and they might not truly understand it. But I think you're right. I think that's like, it's very important. There's so much to be said, and it'd be very cool to share more of that type of information. It's definitely, it's definitely a possibility. So hopefully, and we can have you on again, dude. And
Yes.
yeah, because like obviously you have the same mindset that we're like chasing, that you've got that information that we're trying to get out there. So so we can definitely come up with topics. If you have anything that you think of that you want to dig into, like let us know and we'll maybe do an episode on it.
For sure, yeah, because like when I come across these huge breakthrough moments in a tricking career, it's like when you start doing it and you see how much of a difference it's making, and you're like, why hasn't anyone said anything about this? And like, why are there still so many trickers that only trick once a week, once every 2 weeks? And they're like, but they genuinely want to get better, and they think that taking a rest is the right way, and they just don't have information, or like maybe they're too scared to ask people, which is a completely valid point too. It's like, if no one is really sharing anything, then like,
right. And that's what the thing is like people might have these questions, but that information isn't readily available. And it's not being thrown in their face. So they're searching for it, but not really searching for it. It's like they have questions, but they don't know what to ask. So how can they find the answers? So like we ask these questions so much. So hopefully these answers are the questions that you didn't know you had. That's basically what this is all about. So yeah, keep us updated on what you find.
Yeah, definitely.
I've definitely run into times where, especially with the girls, even like for myself, when I do things sometimes, they're like, oh, well, you were just a level 10. I'm like, yeah, but you don't understand like the amount of time it took to get there. Like, it's not like I was just born a level 10. Like, I wasn't born to go to college gymnastics. Didn't just like start with that ability.
Well, Sean,
Yeah.
I'm sure too, like you're teaching them something and they're like, yeah, well, you were a level 10 gymnast. And you're like, excuse me, I learned that last week. And they're like, oh.
Yeah, I know.
like,
I tried like show them some stuff and I was like, oh yeah, I just tried that the other day. And they're like, oh, and I'm like, yeah, and I can figure this out. And they're like, well, you were a level 10. You were like gonna go to college for this. And I was like, yeah, but I also haven't trained in 10 years. Like, really? You're still gonna try to hold that over my head? Like,
right.
like, ah. But
Yeah,
So
like
funny.
like even though Shosei is like leagues above us, like he still had to go through the same. I'm sure
Yeah.
he went through the same
Yeah.
things, and he just like. But the difference is that like he had, I think, everything to throw in his face, like I'm saying, like to make him such a good tricker that he is. Like he does train every day. He does his stretching. He does his rehab. He eats healthy. I mean, I don't live with him, so I don't know. But like, I'm assuming that he has taken those correct steps, and he just got it at such perfect timing for him to get to that point, and people don't really realize that. And I think, I mean, that's a huge part of like not why I trick, but I really want to share like just all those huge breakthroughs that I'm being introduced to slowly.
But that's also why I love your sampler so much, dude, because it shows the parts of, like, not just the highlights. So you have that little section in there where you fell a bunch of times. You show the
Yeah.
parts where like it's like, wow, his triple corks are so perfect. And then there's all those ones where you just fall. And you even fell on dubs, like in like all these like silly tricks
Right.
too. And like it's and then you see like the background of like they're like, oh, he must go to the gym and he's just training. And then it shows like Sawyer like looking at you between his legs and like you doing this weird ass dances with everybody. And they're like, oh wait, that's how this guy spends his sessions sometimes. Like, yeah. So I think that's what's like, it's just very cool. Like people, you don't have to go full send hardcore all the time. There's like this balance that you need to find. Like otherwise you're gonna burn yourself out and you're not gonna enjoy it. Like this is what this is like there's some massive, like beautiful experience. And like that's just, it honestly, like in a sense, like saved my life, right? Like it's like it gave us this thing that's like so priceless. Like imagine what our lives would be if we didn't get to experience this. It would be
I know.
so different, so boring. We would probably be like addicted to video games, and it would just be just some weird thing, that just everything is so different. And like obviously we just want to like share this and like give back to tricking. Like that's what this is about. So, and you did a very good job of doing that.
Thank you. I'm excited to make my next sampler then, because I got a lot of really positive feedback on it. Like, and I honestly was super hesitant to like make that edit in the beginning, just because like I know that it was so personal and I didn't know if it was gonna like really reach to people, but it seemed like it did in a way. And like I'm just hoping that I have a lot of people that tell me I'm like such an underrated tricker, and
you are.
I think that like a huge reason is because I'm not so fixated on like trying to make myself out to be this huge celebrity. I think I'm just super like, I don't know, it's I just like to do my own thing, and I think that's why I'm so underrated in a way.
Right, you're
is
you're
that-
so in it for the right reasons. You don't need that
Right.
recognition, and like it'll just happen if it happens, and if not, you're content. You're not doing this for them. You're doing this for you, like you have been since the beginning. And I think that's what a lot of people just like misunderstand. Like those people when you go to the session and they go, "Why are you going so hard?" And you're like, "Because I enjoy that." Like people
Yeah.
think it's for this thing, and like you gotta tell them like it's not. Like you don't need to be, intimidated. Like
Yeah.
it's just what I do. It's just a good time. And like this, just you in your zone, like, being in your skin, that's what you're all about. It's nothing wrong with that.
Right. Like I'm not trying to really impress anyone. I'm just like, obviously I like posting good tricks, and like, there's that aspect to it, but I think everyone kind of can get on that train where,
Yeah.
Obviously you want to, post the things that you're proud of, and like you definitely want to get better, but like overall I'm just really trying to enjoy my time and like, just have a good session, honestly.
I feel that.
Well, awesome. I think let's call it right there, and then definitely we'll take a look at your other sampler. We'll get you on and maybe interview you about
Awesome.
that one. And then yeah, like any trick ideas that come up, we'll pull you on for that too.
For sure. I'll keep you updated.
Sweet. All right. Well, thanks for letting us do this, and see you guys next time.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me on. That was awesome.
Don't
Sweet.
forget to follow us on the_flip_side_podcast on Instagram.
And CHRISPY_TRIX. That's chrispy-trix on Instagram. And I also have another YouTube channel, TrixFix, TRIX space FIX, for more tutorials and other things.
And we'll see you guys next time.